Hey there, welcome to episode 109 of the FFS Talk audio program. I am your host, Dan Hugo. We are recording this at 10:06 p.m., 10:07 p.m. Pacific Standard Time in the greater Vegas area on this Wednesday, December 24th, 2025. Some people refer to that as Christmas Eve, but yeah, whatever floats your boat. Episode 109 today, as is true of all of my audio programs produced this week. Today's title and topic, Retrospective 2025. So yes, even though they are all the same title, they're all different in keeping with the theme of the show. So today we'll do something very similar to the usual format, but it'll be more sort of a retrospective of the year gone by. If you're not familiar with the FFS Talk audio program, I'm going to mention some things, so I'll keep it brief. Normally, I would fill you in on the fact that you should meet more Irish people if you're not familiar with what FFS stands for. Basically, very basically, this entire audio program is intended to be a conversation with a guest or two around a particular topic. Again, we'll get into that more. There have not been any guests yet. Again, we'll get into that more. Hopefully, wherever you found this audio program, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the show notes, including a brief summary, which I'll read to you. And the links for today's episode are just the usual episode links. The program links. So no episode links, nothing specific for today's episode. On that note, let us begin so that I don't know about you, I can get back to enjoying my Christmas Eve, which I'm not really, anyway, for another time. The summary of today's episode is as follows. This year is coming to an end, and is there anything, let me start that over. This year is coming to an end. Is there anything that simply works so we do not need to do anything about it? Maybe, but I'm seeing some patterns. The links, as usual, the FFS Talk homepage, FFSTALK, FFStalk.com. That's the primary point of publication. Still very much a work in progress. I've been saying this for, 2 months now. I just have not really gotten to the web design part. That's a long story, but we'll see on what note we end this year or begin the new one. The final episode of FFS Talk for 2025 will be on New Year's Eve. It will be published on New Year's Eve. Is that right? Yes. No. It will be published on New Year's Day. It will be recorded on New Year's Eve sometime earlier in the day. Today we're recording on the late night evening of Christmas Eve for no particular reason. I am in the greater Vegas area. I did not travel anywhere. We'll save that for next month. So the FFS Talk audio program, FFStalk.com website, the primary point of publication for the FFS Talk audio program. See, how did I leave out all those words that first time? Will make an appearance at some point. I promise. It is part of my overarching goal to take more ownership of my internet presence for the new year. That includes all of these projects, with audio programs attached to them, and then all of my other various things, which I talk about in my various other programs. See, it all makes sense. The profile page linking everything, that's about me. The buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo freeform profile page has links to all of my audio programs, their primary points of publication, their Spotify for Creators profile pages, the YouTube channels associated with each. There's some biographical information. There are links to the various projects I'm working on. There are some affiliate links if you're interested. You do not have to spend any money if you visit the buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo profile page. You should know the Buy Me an Update audio program was inspired by the name of that website. It used to be published exclusively on buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo/posts. But now I publish it there first, and then I publish it through the usual Spotify for Creators channels And the same goes with Coffee Solo, that used to be exclusively found on the Ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo profile page in the posts section as well. Now it is published there first and then all the other places. That way everything has an RSS feed. Everything can be automatically drawn into the Apple and Amazon and YouTube, and well, it kind of automatically goes to Spotify. Anyway, anyone can pull from the RSS feed. It can appear in other places. They're in the podcast index. I need to make more mention of that. That's it is exactly what it sounds like. The podcast index, which is the brainchild of the invention of it's a project being driven by the guy who came up with the notion of podcasting, Adam Curry. So yay. No, it's good. Adam Curry gets on my nerves a little bit, but he got us here. So there you go. ffstalk.com, buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo. There you go. So let's get on with the show. First, a little bit more about this audio program, since it is the end of the year and we're looking back. As I described at the beginning of each episode, not so much today because we're here, but I do describe at the beginning of each episode, the intent with this audio program is to have conversations, debates, maybe actual arguments about what works, what does not work, and what we or someone might do about it. I have not invited anyone to be a guest. I have to be honest. I've literally not reached out to anyone, even though I talk about it. We're 109 episodes in, mostly because it is difficult to find guests in the Vegas area who want to show up and take part. It can be done. It is not easy. The inevitable question, how many listeners or similar, is usually an indicator, a variation of what's in it for me. So yeah, we'll leave that there. So these episodes serve at least two purposes. One is a sort of mental exercise to analyze something just deep enough to present an idea after spelling out a few aspects of what works, what doesn't, and then on to the next thing. So in other words, here's what I think does work and does not work about whatever the topic is. I throw out some ideas about what we can do about it, and then on to the following week and do it again. The other thing is to create a library of starting points, seeds of discussion for someone who might want to join in. So on the one hand, I'm keeping my own thought processes exercised, no atrophy here, no mental atrophy here anyway. But on the other, I would like other people to take a look at some of these if they want, or if something sounds interesting, and consider that as their sort of a starting point. Like, okay, here's what I would think compared to what Dan had to say. My views are on display, so to speak, and can inform any of those characters out there who might be interested, if they need it, if they want to know where I stand, first of all, and we can go from there. So there you go. I think in general, it is useful to leave some receipts along the way. That's either way. Painting on a cave wall, keeping a journal, creating audio program episodes. Every single episode here is subject to a discussion or debate, maybe even a follow-up revision. I might choose to revisit a particular topic, and surely any particular episode is influenced a little bit by the episodes before, even on different topics. When we think through these different viewpoints, even at a rather shallow level, these episodes are not intended to be comprehensive. They're literally, well, okay, the episodes I'm making with just me, they're not intended to be comprehensive. If I were to have a guest on and we were having a nice, fruitful discussion, it might go on for hours or days. Hours might seem like days. But for myself, I usually am under an hour. That's really not enough time to get super deep on a subject. Usually it's closer to 30 to 40 minutes, I think, more recently. We can save that for conversation here or elsewhere if we want to really go into a particular topic, even beyond one single audio program. Hey, multi-parter. And even if any or all episodes are not, or do not lead to some additional deeper dives, it's the thinking that counts. And that's why I'm interested in this particular channel of the several that I produce content for each week. So with all that in mind, this has been a particularly interesting year for obvious reasons, most likely. Some might say, huh? But that's probably not my audience. So lots of stuff going on. And while I usually eschew politics in my actual episodes, I try to keep with pub rules. So religion and politics are best left at the door. I actually think government is fair game. That is not politics, it's government. So that is arguing about us and them and who is an idiot and whatnot is not really productive. But policy and action are always on the table because no matter on which side you are, or I might find, no matter on which side you or I might find ourselves, this is all happening. It's actually happening. By way of analogy, it's like being in a boat that is sinking. You could be on port or starboard. The more important direction is down, which is where we are both headed unless we take productive action. So yeah, government is about what's actually happening, not the negotiation, arguing, finger pointing, accusations, and so on. There's no particular party. Everything's a party. Some of the patterns I am seeing are absolutely making themselves more apparent, more pronounced throughout this year, which is probably thanks in part to the continued momentum behind content creators in a so-called new media space. Maybe some call themselves independent media, but in general, more people building audience based on opinion or analysis of current events and so on that feeds a particular learning. I'm pretty sure I meant leaning. And learning. Do people learn from content creators? It's hard to say. I know they develop opinions from them. But yeah, probably leaning. Especially essentially hot and cold running confirmation bias. That was my reading error. I have the correct word. So yeah, you basically can get any sort of opinion you want if you search YouTube enough, and eventually YouTube will recommend those to you. And you will get to amplify your own little echo chamber by various content creators telling you what you already knew or think you knew. Is that too much? Too glib maybe? Too much opinion? Polling the crowds has driven a lot of celebration, whataboutism, finger pointing, and who knows about any other acts of misdirection, keeping the populace riled up, while a variety of transgressions get in without anyone noticing. The various things we'll be hearing out forever. This is just a theory, but something tells me this 12-year period starting with 2015, maybe it'll be more like 15 years, something around 2015 until maybe 2030, will be one talked about for 100 years or more afterwards, if there's anyone still around to do so. Fingers crossed, I suppose. I don't know if I will be around for 100 years, but someone in my audience might. So in keeping with the normal format, but of course more reflective or retrospective if you like. And I will say that when I was writing this, I originally had the we part as a separate thing first, which is unusual. So if anything doesn't make sense, that's okay. It's Christmas Eve. Well, our family historically celebrates Christmas, but I'm not really into the traditional calendar holidays anymore. I guess it's every day should be celebrated as though it's your last. What works? We are as connected as a globe full of people has ever been, wired and wireless, and in every other way. We have more compute available to us than ever, and by all accounts, we are going to have more. We have the accumulated knowledge of humanity pretty much online, accessible at any time from anywhere, sometimes used to train ginormous AI models, but generally available in one form or another to everyone. Maybe for free, or maybe, but that's only if you're an AI company. Totally free. This is, by any measure, amazing. The sort of thing we dreamed about in the 80s. I've mentioned this through the episodes of any of my various programs. There used to be a company called Quest, QWEST, and they used to, I think it was an early fiber company, as an optical fiber. And one of their commercials was a person is checking into a hotel room, and he says, do you have entertainment, or do you have movies in the room or something? And the woman behind the counter says, we have every movie ever made in every language ever. He's like, whoa, because you could get anything from the internet. We do have a motivated populace, mostly. So this is another thing that works. People use their mobile devices, which exist in abundance. How many do you have? It's like bicycles in the Netherlands, right? Everybody's got 3 or 4. To communicate with each other. Sometimes they know each other, the people communicating. Sometimes they want to know each other. Sometimes they should never know each other. Yep. Content creators are pushing their views, opinions, and findings out to a willing world of consumers. And many of them consumers are responding to them and to each other with various results, various intents, various agenda. More speech is good, right? That kind of works. Sometimes, whether about government or something else, there's actually something noteworthy, useful, interesting, even hopeful. And on rare occasions, these gems are not crushed with vitriol. Very rare. There is still plenty of fallacious thinking to contend with, but it is possible to wade through it. The question is, do people do that wading? So it is possible. It's one of the things that works, but it only works if people actually do it. What does not work? Again, these are reflections over the year. If you were to listen to any particular episode this year and even in the previous years of this series of programs, this is the format, and there's some variation of everything I'm describing here. More focused on the particular topic at hand for a particular episode, but generally speaking, what does not work? These are my observations. If I did not notice this before this year, it is yelling at me now, at everyone perhaps. We are squandering our many resources for the sake of, well, let's be honest, impoopification, if I can keep it clean. I'm reading that book with the actual title is not, anyway, you can figure it out. It's by Cory Doctorow, and I've talked about it before, and he's been making the rounds, but I think everybody knows that word at this point. But we'll stick with impoopification if anybody's checking. Impoopification at scale, and of course, coercing public opinion, click farming, doxing, and worse. And the list of things goes on. So much potential that we are barely putting to use. We as a population. Now, obviously, some people are using this technology for some form of good. Many are using it for some form of not good, but tons and tons of people are using it for basically personal vices, greed, jealousy, envy, all the usual, the 7 deadly, 7. AI is going to be a problem. That's another thing that doesn't work. It already is, really, with so many doomsayers, conservative realists, people who don't think AI is going to take over the world and kill humanity, ethicists, expressing some very real concerns and shining some very important light on things. A whole lot of copyright and ethical violations in model training. Huge issues with data centers and powering them, and not to mention cooling them and what happens to the water. And perhaps the biggest problem, that 99.9% of people using AI, relying on AI, making important decisions around AI, have no idea what they are using and how it works, or much less where it's getting its information from when it answers your question. How often do you hear people start a sentence with, I asked ChatGPT, ... I'm actually finding myself cringing when I hear people say that. I asked ChatGPT to tell me the latest, and you're like, how do you know it's got the latest? Why don't you just search for information specifically? Anyway, I end up yelling at my computer. That's not a healthy sign. And the final thing, what does not work? Of course, the big observation this year, the one pointed at all the time, something that has been true to varying degrees over the history of the U.S. and of all humanity, more generally. We are not getting along. These other 2 items I just mentioned are effectively amplifying every difference, every disagreement, every tribalism, tendency, everything. And it is exhausting. And I'm not speaking for just me. You can see it and you can hear it. You can observe it in the comments and the forums and discussions, the tweets, the blue skies, everything. Quick to fire back and so on. I think it might be driving people away from the utility that might otherwise be, maybe, at their disposal, if they knew what to do with all this, an embarrassment of riches in our pockets, and we use it for doom scrolling and the For You page and other silliness. So normally I would say, what can we do about it? But let's talk about the we in that claim, the third clause of the premise of the FFS Talk Audio program, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? Implies some sort of group effort, maybe teamwork of some kind. But the we is not so easy to conjure, especially this year, but this has only been building over time. A lot of episodes this year, a lot of pondering on my part around motivated reasoning, confirmation bias, intellectual curiosity or lack thereof. Basically, the basis of cooperation is some form of common understanding about the focus of cooperation. And that is still to come together, I think. What do we need to fix and how are we going to do it? Again, sort of the theme of this entire series of programs. I don't know that people are making it that far. People in the U.S. have been known from time to time to come together around some common challenge. It is very difficult to ponder this at national scale, but here and there, people will appeal to the better angels of their nature, as President Lincoln might say. Probably more when he was president, not so much lately, and rally to solve the challenge at hand. It could be saving a dog from a well. It could be lifting a car off of someone. It could be any number of things where people really demonstrate that not everything is going straight who knows where. The tools and technologies at our disposal could be used for this. And I'm not just talking about your cell phone. I mean, just everything we have at our disposal. Or it could be misused for this sort of thing. And I think we know that the latter case does work. It's unbelievable how people will use the latest and greatest for some nefarious purpose. And it's unavoidable, apparently. It is difficult to imagine resigning to what could be an even more negative short term, though over the last year we have seen some of those better angels making themselves apparent. Sometimes with these tools and technologies, the question is whether the feedback loop has its poles on the right side of the plane or not. That means if you've forgotten your root locus plots and your basic systems engineering, system modeling, when the poles are on the right side of the plane, that means your feedback loop can become unstable and grow without bound. And in a positive direction, that means, things just keep getting better because people realize all of a sudden, hey, we can make a difference in a positive way. I'll just let you sit with that one. So, yeah, what a year. All of my episodes this year tend to be kind of about like, there's so much possibility here and we just seem to be misusing it. Just something as simple as YouTube or TikTok or whatever, but say YouTube, today being Christmas Eve, you're going to get a lot of content that's not being released this week. So your newsy new media content creators, channels, they may have taken the week off or taken at least a day or two off. So you'll see topical programming recommended to you, but it's from a month ago or 2 months ago or a year ago. But YouTube doesn't really make that apparent. And so I have covered this specifically as an example. People don't often correct things when they're speculating. A lot of people are speculating because you got to keep that content pipeline full in order to monetize, in order to make your money. And so people are being fed information and then it never gets corrected because there's always another version of the story when there's new information, but the old video can still be monetized or the old content. So, I mean, that's just one example of this. This year is becoming like there's a lens focused on some of these serious shortcomings or diversions or worse. It is possible to spend your entire life either in front of a camera or watching people in front of their cameras, just talking and talking and talking, doing some ad reads, reminding you to click and subscribe and all this other stuff. And is there any productivity coming out of that? Are there solutions, or is it just people monetizing their opinions and then other people watching them do this and then commenting below with their vitriol and arguments and so on? It's kind of amazing. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not summarizing all of my episodes, but other than to the degree I have here. But that's pretty much a theme, and it's sort of annoying to me. Like, it's another episode about the lack of intellectual curiosity, about presumed expertise. It's about the halo effect. Oh, Joe Rogan has 1 million more followers, so he must know what he's talking about. So misassignment of of trust or credibility, the halo effect, right? Oh, yes, I like the way that guy's voice sounds, or she's cute. I'm going to believe everything she tells me, that kind of stuff. It is amazing. It is amazing to watch, especially over the last year. So these are some of my reflections on 2025. It has been interesting. Another interesting year gone by. I cannot imagine anyone disagreeing with that it has been interesting. Now, there is a false, it's attributed to a Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. These are certainly interesting times, but not a Chinese curse. It's some other thing. I want not to focus on so much on these aspects of 2026 because surely they're not going away anytime soon, which I'm guessing will be as chaotic from some perspectives as 2025 was, but which may be a year of realization, surely a year of technology impact, with AI not slowing down anytime soon and its bubble not getting any smaller, although it may suddenly get very small. Who knows? Maybe this year. But certainly there will be more of the same and possibly more of something different for the 2026 calendar year. So we'll have to see. I do reserve the right to revisit any of the topics I've already spoken about and have episodes for bring them up to date. That is indeed what I was talking about with the YouTube example, right? So just having these episodes floating out there without ever paying attention to them again, it's kind of a disservice, right? So there you go. Human nature is not drastically changing anytime soon. So probably for the most part, we have another year of the same, give or take, plus or minus. So for now, though, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas, I suppose, if you're listening to this moments after it gets published. It will publish sometime Christmas morning, along with your gifts. If you're assembling a bike or trying to find some batteries for whatever it is you've received or given, you can listen to this later or during that bike assembly. You never know, it might be helpful. But I thank you for listening. If you've listened before, thanks for that too. Thanks for continuing to listen. Hopefully for 2026, the FFS Talk audio program will find its way into some of the other things I'm working on for Cafe Genius and for Innovate for Vegas Foundation as far as information sharing at city scale. So we'll see. More local content creator discovery. And who knows? And you could consider being a guest on this program sometime in 2026 or beyond to get your ideas out on the table for discuss, for discussion. One of those. So for 2026, I will resolve to try harder to get some guests because, again, I really didn't try at all. That's a Vegas thing. But that is where I'm going to leave it for today. My clock says just over 30 minutes. That's about the right amount of time that I want to spend on Christmas Eve talking about 2025 from the FFS perspective anyway. So yeah, thanks for listening. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Fingers crossed that it's a good New Year. Happy to some degree or another. And that's it. There will be episodes every week. I have no plans of having a dark week anytime soon, but once I get the website properly situated, that will be the place to check such things. But we have plenty of time for that to take place. So there you go. Thank you. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Take care.